Hello everyone, and a big welcome to all my new subscribers. Thank you so much for being here. I'm finally back with another review of Quantum Leap 2022. Life ended up dumping a lot of stuff on me, which kept me from staying on top of Quantum Leap reviews, but I've finally gotten to episode 7, O Ye of Little Faith. This episode aired a year ago, and as it's Halloween themed, I guess it's appropriate that I'm posting my review now. For all those who have waited patiently for more Quantum Leap reviews, I apologize and thank you for your patience. I will try to get back into a groove with these things. I'm gonna say up front that this episode was pretty good compared to the rest thus far, and there were a few really well done aspects to it. I'd recommend watching it. So before I go into my review, I'm just gonna throw up a spoiler alert here. Ben is now occupying the body of Father James Davenport, a priest that has been summoned to perform an exorcism on a girl named Daisy in a creepy, poorly lit house on Halloween night 1934. He's introduced to all the players of the piece, I'm not going to bother going over them, and then goes to the bathroom to talk to Addison. I'm starting to think this bathroom thing is possibly an in-joke by the writers. Addison tells Ben that in the original history, the priest tried to perform an exorcism on Daisy, but failed, and Daisy died 6 minutes after midnight. Ziggy says that he's there to successfully perform the exorcism. Ben complains that he isn't religious and doesn't believe in possession, and Addison points out that he's technically possessing the priest's body at that moment. She also says that the machine sent Ben here for a reason, once again confirming that the accelerator is what is leaping Ben through space-time and not whatever mysterious force was controlling Sam's leaps. Which of course begs the question as to why he has to put anything right that once went wrong. That whole concept was Ziggy's best guess as to why Sam didn't leap home the first time, that God, time, fate, or whatever had decided to use him as an instrument to make the world a better place. In Ben's situation, the accelerator should just be able to leap him whenever it wants. Ben is adamant that demons aren't real, so he gets taken up by Daisy's mother to see her. She's restrained to the bed and looks very possessed. He gets Addison to give him the Idiot's Guide to Exorcisms, which consists of 3 easy steps. Daisy's mother said the last priest didn't make it through the first step and leaves Ben with Daisy to work his magic. He starts reading Latin from the book in his hands, Daisy starts reacting and Addison starts glitching, eventually becoming muted and finally disappearing as the lights go out. When they come back on, Ben sees a dark cloudy figure emerge from Daisy's body and naturally freaks out. Addison leaves the imaging chamber to find a cat-like Ian trying to find out what's interfering with the signal from the imaging chamber. He jokes that maybe it was the demon, referencing Sam Beckett's belief that God guided the accelerator, which isn't how the original Project Quantum Leap worked. With only 6 hours left before Daisy's death, Addison has no choice but to wait while Ian tries to troubleshoot the problem. Back in 1934, Ben finds himself alone with Daisy once again, just as a doctor arrives to check on her. The doctor believes Daisy is crazy and needs cutting-edge medical treatment like electroshock or a lobotomy. Daisy believes the demon is real and has been tormenting her since she turned 18 3 weeks previous. She believes God sent Ben to help her. Letting Daisy rest, Ben chants with her aunt, then sits with the rest of the motley crew where he declines a drink from a guy whose mustache indicates he's likely a villain, while Daisy's mom plays Clementine on the piano. She blames herself for the possession as she got pregnant with Daisy out of wedlock. The sounds of furniture dragging across the ceiling and Daisy screaming interrupt them and bring them back upstairs where they find the door locked and creepy things happening until the door unlocks itself. Everyone comes into the room Clue style, or and then there were fewer style if you're too young to know about Clue, and they find Daisy's aunt dead on top of an armoire. While the aunt's body gets removed, Ben and the doctor try to figure out what's really going on. We get a neat effect of a press photographer sneaking a photo of the body, which transitions to Ian looking at the photo on the Unexplained Demonic Phenomena subreddit. While the subreddit doesn't actually exist, interestingly the URL for the site is visible, and I can make out that the domain is checkin.lazy-omotel.site. Now, a quick internet search reveals that the Lazy O Motel is a fake motel from the series Ozark, but as far as I can tell, the two shows are made by 2 completely different production companies. Spooky! Addison remarks that only the imaging chamber is being affected, and Ian says that they're no closer to solving the problem. Back in 1934, Ben shares a drink with Mustache Guy and tries to get details about what happened to Daisy 3 weeks previous. An argument breaks out, but before it escalates to fisticuffs, the maid informs them that Daisy is sick again and is requesting the priest. Daisy is all demoned up in bed, so Ben sends the mom and maid away to face her alone. The demon quotes Revelations and then starts doing creepy demon things that freak Ben out. The maid shows up with bleeding eyes and Ben requests the doctor. Suddenly the armoire opens up and out crawls the smoke demon from before. Ben hears voices and a wall does that Freddy Krueger thing, and suddenly it's over. Ben finds a rotting fish under the bed and realizes it's the source of the demon stench everyone has been complaining about and seeks to find the person who placed it there. In the tradition of quick mysteries, the maid enters and immediately confesses, as it's apparently a Jewish custom to use the fish to protect against demons. They also learn that Daisy was set to inherit all of her wealthy aunt's money, giving everyone a motive for murder. Back in 2022, a bored Addison has a heart-to-heart with security woman Jen, who finally makes an appearance. She laments that the leaps are getting more difficult and Ben might get stuck in time, although again the mechanics behind that aren't really explained. Jen gives her a nonsense lesson in pseudo-quantum physics and a pep talk, and that's the end of that scene. Back in 34, Ben goes back to the bathroom to try and contact Addison, a nice nod to how she always seems to find him in a bathroom. With no one else to talk to, he starts with the man in the mirror. The reflection seems to have facial expressions that don't reflect Ben's, and Ben decides to play the role of the priest and let the host body's faith take care of the rest or some nonsense like that. He takes another drink and proceeds to Daisy's room. He restarts the exorcism and Daisy starts levitating and doing creepy demon things. The smoke demon makes an appearance again and scares Ben, who passes out. He has a dreamy encounter with Addison and realizes it isn't real and concludes that he's hallucinating, which his hallucination of Addison confirms. She directs him to the drink he was consuming, and he realizes he and Daisy have been drugged and someone is a murderer trying to frame the demon and kill Daisy at 12:06. The actors all try to sit real still while Ben deliberates each one's motives, while Addison tells him why they can't be the killer. Ben doesn't understand how anyone killed the aunt when the door was locked, and Addison reminds him that they're in a mansion, so there must be a secret passage in the bedroom. Ben makes out with his hallucination until she kicks him out, and he sets about looking for the secret passage, finding it through the armoire, and sadly it doesn't lead to Narnia. Ben grills the maid until she reveals that Mr. Mustache had her go and acquire special flowers for the garden, Jimson weed, which has hallucinogenic properties. With only 6 minutes before Daisy's scheduled death, Ben enlists her, the maid, and the doctor to set a trap for the mustache. They pretend that Daisy has died to the point of covering her with a blanket and having a cop present, while Ben pretends to channel the Holy Spirit and reveals that the demon is still present, which Daisy gets into character and pretends to be the demon, saying that someone in the room killed Daisy, and indicates Mustache, who in fear confesses to everything but the motive, which Ben had wrong. The ruse is revealed, Daisy forgives everyone involved, they get arrested, and Daisy survives. Suddenly in the future, Ian gets a giant 404 page on his screen. Hilariously, one of the suggested reasons for the 404 is that an incorrect address was entered into the browser's address bar. Based on the length of the blurry URL, I'm pretty sure it's still the Lazy O Motel URL, so yeah, makes sense. Ian concludes that since the post about Daisy's possession disappeared, that Ben saved her life. Ian then figures out where the interference in the imaging chamber is coming from, but before it's revealed, we go back to 1934, where Daisy is thanking Ben as part of the leap's wrap-up. She also reveals that at some point during the leap she saw him as Ben instead of the priest, which she interpreted as an angel sent by God, a recurring theme in the original series. Weirdly, after bidding Ben a safe trip, Daisy leaves Ben alone in her bedroom. Like it's her room, shouldn't he be the one leaving? But she had to do that in order for the next scene to happen. The smoke demon appears again, but this time you can hear a voice calling out to Ben. The smoke clears and hey look, it was Janice Calavici the whole time with the original hand link. She reveals she interrupted the project's imaging chamber so that she could get a message to him. She says she's there to warn him, but before she can say anything else, he leaps out and into someone coincidentally named Ben, who's running away from a couple of security-looking guys along with a group of kids while Song 2 by Blur plays in the background. They steal a car and escape from the Sierra Youth Academy, and the episode ends. And now my thoughts. Based on how they led into this episode at the end of the previous, I thought it was going to be quite hokey. But as far as spooky episodes go, the scary bits were quite scary. The smoke demon was a great example of a lack of detail being more terrifying than an entire rubber-masked costume. It was pretty obvious that a hallucinogen was causing Ben's experiences, but I admit that I didn't see the twist that the smoke demon was Janice instead of just pure hallucination. Hats off to the writers for that one. Also kudos for the red herring of the inheritance, which seemed painfully obvious, but was delightfully subverted. It's like they put thought into the story. That said, when Ben goes to call for help before the big reveal, the maid informs him that the phone has been dead since he arrived. If that's the case, how did they call for the authorities when the aunt died? And how did they finally get a cop in the house for the ruse? During his hallucination, Ben realizes that someone has been drugging Daisy's soup, but when he wakes up and Daisy's mom says she wants to give Daisy soup, Ben says that's a great idea and runs off to make a call. As it turns out, he runs into the maid and his conversation with her delays the delivery of said soup. But how could he know that he'd run into the maid or make it back before Daisy got the fatal dose? Daisy's revelation that she saw Ben while high on Jimson weed makes no sense in universe because Ben is only possessing the bodies of the people he leaps into. There's no way to see Ben. Once again, their decision to abandon how quantum leaping worked in the original series has come back to bite them in the butt. The 2022 cast must have been on vacation this episode because they barely show up. Security woman Jen has only one scene and we don't see magic once. All in all, this was a good episode and I hope the writing stays strong like this. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Please like, subscribe, and share. And if you're a fan of science fiction, then check out my debut novel, Holocene. I'm currently working on the sequel, and the reviews of the book have been overwhelmingly positive. It's already been read in Canada, the US, the UK, and even Japan, so add your country to the list. Finally, I want to give a huge shout out to Richard, aka UK Danger Man. He has become a great friend to me and the channel, and he's been really supportive of me and my work. He's a great commentator and artist, and if you haven't checked him out yet, go and subscribe to all his various channels and watch our live streams where we talk about Star Trek. Links for everything are in the description. That's all for now. Take care of each other, and as always, I'll see you in the future.